Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Education Subcommittee of the House Ways and Means Committee. Today is April 7th, 2022. We do have a few bills on our agenda today. We're going to start off with House Bill 150, which is a Delegate Charkoudian bill. This is a grant program to reduce and compost school waste. Alistair, you want to tell us? We do have an amendment on this bill. It does set up a grant program within MSDE, right? And then, but it's reviewed by a different agency, and I think the amendment that we have in front of us removes the funding source for this. So it only allows for it to be just to create a grant program. Is that right, Alistair?
That's right. They have the authority to seek federal funding, which was in the original bill. So rather than be funded by the state, they can coordinate to identify federal funding sources with the MSDE. Other than that, the amendment just clarifies what activities are eligible for a grant. You have to have classroom, some pedagogical value in learning about composting and stuff. When in the original bill, that was one of several things you could get a grant for. Now you have to get pedagogical value and can do one of several other things, which this would conform the bill to the amendments that the Senate adopted minus the appropriation.
Alistair, what does a
Chairman?
Hold on one second. Alistair, what is a share table? Establishing share tables.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. What'd you say?
Hear me? I said, what is a share table? On the page 3 of the reprint, lines 3 through 5, it talks about establishing share tables based on guidance from the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
That's a question. Let me quickly.
I was looking at that earlier, and I said, "Man, what is a share table?" Delegate Plavkovich-Carter, you have an answer for that?
I think, Mr. Chair, that it's a table where kids could put food out. Like if you get their lunch packed by their parent, there's a bag of chips in there they don't want, they could set it out on that table. Another kid could grab that bag of chips if they're interested in it, rather than it being thrown away.
That is correct. I think it's a method of avoiding food waste. So yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, cool. On the amendment, do I hear any motions on the amendments?
Favorable.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Delegate Rose, is that a vote in favor or is that a question? Okay. On the bill, the amendment is accepted. On the bill, question, Delegate Rose.
So our internet is unstable, and you were freezing a bit in some of the questioning and the explanation. So what is I heard removing the funding. So
the amendment removes the funding and also adds some clarifying language to what the grant can be used for. There's several activities listed on page 2 of the reprint. And it lists a lot of things that the grant can be useful for these activities, and it just clarifies it too.
So this is just authorizing schools to be able to apply for federal money?
They can work with MSDE to seek federal funds.
Okay, but it's not mandating that the schools do this?
No mandate. It's entirely up to the schools.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Favorable.
Or second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of House Bill 150 say aye. All opposed. Okay, House Bill 150 passes. Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to House Bill 541. This is Delegate Shee's bill. This is the first time we actually are discussing this bill. Alistair, you want to just run through the bill and tell us what the amendments do? Actually, I can do it. So this bill just removes the Career and Technical Education Committee from the Governor's Office, Governor's Workforce Development Board, and creates it as an independent unit within the Maryland Department of Labor. Then it also adds them adds 2 different organizations on the board itself, which is skilled trade organizations and career colleges. Alistair, you want to talk about the amendment for us?
Yes, that is in fact the amendment. The amendment would both remove them from the Governor's Workforce Development Board and no longer require that members of the Governor's Workforce Development Board make up the CTE committee. And the bill itself also requires, in addition to adding those two members, it requires that one of the CTE committee's numerous duties is going to be to develop a list of skilled trade organization programs and career school programs in the state and provide a list to guidance counselors to distribute to.
So you have a.
I was just going to add, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to ask if that other part was going to be mentioned here. I do have a few concerns about it, but
Sure. Tell us what those concerns are.
okay. So my concerns is that these are for-profit organizations, and we know that sometimes students get into debt. Some of them are also somewhat misleading. They promise student jobs that they can't get. Now, so I'm concerned that if we put them on a list, that there be some sort of note. First of all, that we have schools that are bona fide in the state that perhaps are not fly-by-nights. I hope the governor would recognize, but I have a couple of ideas of how we could qualify them. And then the other one is that if counselors are holding this notification, that there be something disclaimer saying that they are for profit and students should be careful to manage their finances carefully when involving themselves with them.
So what's your suggestion, Delegate?
My suggestion is, and I did send them to Alistair to have a look at. I think maybe I may have copied you as well. That we have a definition. Alistair, you can read it. I think if you have it there, or I can quickly get up on my mail. That we more clearly define which institutions would qualify, ones that exist in the state and have existed for a reasonable amount of time, and that when the counselors get this list that we're talking about of these, that there be a disclaimer that hopefully the counselor passed along saying they're for profit, and that's not necessarily bad, but then to that end, students should be aware of the financial commitment they're making when they get involved with them. Here, I can.
So I have the amendment. Alistair,
Okay.
Do you have that in front of you?
I did receive that email.
Delegate, so are you saying that, in adding these folks to this board, that there needs to be notification at the school system level?
No, I'm sorry, not the people, not adding the people to the board, but the people that we add to the board should be from bona fide schools in the state that are in state. There are schools that exist mostly on paper, online, and they're not necessarily, they haven't really been vetted very well. They haven't been here very long. An example of a school that's been here a long time and is a good player is Lincoln Tech, for example. That's a good one. There's some other good ones, and I don't mean to advertise for that, but that's the one.
So clarifying that these positions should be schools that are here in the state.
Yes, pretty much. And then also, I don't mind them putting someone on the board, but when we send notification to counselors can have a lot of information in front of them to differentiate them somewhat from, say, community colleges and things like that. So people understand that they're working with an LLC who is making a profit, and that they should just be aware so that when they make a financial commitment to that school, that they should pay attention to their own finances. That I think that's what it says essentially.
Okay, I think you make a good point about making sure that these. I wonder if we just have to add a line that all of these organizations must be Maryland-based organizations.
They are required to be in the state in the language that's already in the bill.
Okay, so that's one. The other piece that you had, Delegate Eversole, was that notifications from counselors about these.
Yes. Just so people be aware that they're a slightly different entity than counselors typically recommend. If they have a list of them, that they're not the same as a community college in terms of their stature.
Correct. No, I understand that. So what you're saying is once a list is sent out about these different types of schools, or that we should the counselor at the school should make sure they notify the student that
we should at least notify the counselor. Hopefully they will have the responsibility. We won't put anything saying they have to do that, but if they have it in front of them, it might encourage the counselor to remind students these schools.
Is that a little too deep though that we're going?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think there's similar levels of specification for the other duties the CTE committee has. In general, we take it on face value that they're going to perform their duties in a appropriate way and have the best interests of the students looked out for. But we have things saying like develop courses for the CTE post college and career readiness standard in here, which is not specified in any great detail. I don't know if we need to necessarily micromanage the way in which they provide this information to counselors, but up to you guys if that is the desire of the committee.
Delegate Blokovich-Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So 2 questions. So Delegate Ebersol, just to clarify, I think for that last provision we were just talking about with the list, that's at the bottom of page 4 of the reprint, I think is where the provision about that list is. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So you're saying perhaps in that language, make a clarification about having some kind of notation or information about which ones are for-profit entities.
Right.
Is that right?
Something along those lines. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm hunting for my mail right now. I can
Okay.
tell you what I
And
should
then I guess this question maybe for Alistair. So thinking about other parts of higher education, and I don't know what information gets distributed through official channels through to high school students about colleges, but I mean, isn't it a similar situation though for-profit, not CTE organizations, but for-profit undergraduate institutions, some of which have not been good actors, including ones that were based in Maryland. I don't know. Yeah. On the one hand, I don't have a problem with the amendment. If that's the will, I'll go with it. But I'm kind of thinking from that perspective of aren't we providing information perhaps through other channels? That doesn't make sense either.
I believe there are, and it's not a thing that the state, I don't think typically regulates in great detail, but it might be a good idea for a bill in the future.
Mr. Chair, I can clarify where the amendment is if you'd like, or if we're dismissing it, then I won't bother. It's up to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Delegate. I think that, the first piece you brought up, which seems to be covered, right? This second one, I thank you, Delegate Blokovich-Carr, for pointing out on page 4 and between lines 22 and 25, you just want more clarification on that. They should inform them of the financial issue, the financial responsibility of attending one of these schools. Is that
Are
right?
you asking me or Blokovich?
I'm asking you.
Okay. Yeah, I just have inserting the list developed shall include disclaimer that clearly states that career colleges may be privately owned and prospective students should ensure they are in a position to meet any of the financial obligations set forth by the career college prior to enrolling.
What does anybody else think? What do you guys think? Okay, well, seems to be no
Yeah,
Delegate Hornberger.
just seems unnecessary. And I think it undermines the commission and their good intentions.
Yeah, I don't know what the process is right now from the counselors notifying students of all the types of programs that are available. I mean, I would think that they will be trained to let them know what their financial obligations could be for these schools, and that they are private schools. There's some private colleges, there's some public colleges. So they're all kind of, different. So I would just caution us of going down that road, I think. Delegate Blokovich-Carr.
Yeah, maybe just one follow-up question. Delegate Ebersol, do you know, are any of these CTE organizations not for profit? If there are, maybe then it's just as simple as that the list should make a distinction between which are for profit and not for profit.
That's kind of what I was shooting for.
Oh, okay.
There are CTE is, certainly taught by community colleges, and they're not for profit. So I just felt like there might be, a high school senior might confuse, something that says Lincoln Tech with, Howard Community College, or some of the community colleges are called Chesapeake College. So, which ones are, more government funded and more government produced as opposed to ones that are LLCs. So that's what I was hoping for. But,
I'll say, if you're, sorry to interrupt, but if you're open to changing your amendment, like I could go for like to make a distinction on the list of which ones are for profit. And then the
Yeah.
list might just have a for-profit section and everybody else nonprofit section, like however they want to set it up or.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of taking us out of the realm of this bill. That's like applying to guidance counselors in general. And this is mostly about the CTE committee, and the CTE committee focuses on CTE education in schools.
I agree. I think going down this road is not where we want to go right now. Honestly, I appreciate the intent, Delegate and Delegate Qualifish trying to like get us to the middle of the road too. Of the amendment, but I think that it's I think we don't need to go down that road with this one just yet. Sorry, thank you, Delegate Ebersol, for proposing an amendment.
Appreciate your attention.
And I was joking on my email, by the way.
I couldn't tell. That's why I was walking so carefully right now.
I was joking, man. Delegate Hartman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You kind of cut off the conversation. I was going to say, maybe we just require financial literacy for CTE and forget the whole warning about profit and not for profit.
And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and extend the gas tax, Wayne. Let's do that too.
Right. All right. On the amendment, do I hear a motion on the amendment?
I'm going to wait and see if anybody else moves it. I'll second it if somebody else moves it.
No. On the amendments that's
on your amendments. Okay, good. I thought you were still giving me. I thought you were breathing some life into me there.
No, on the committee amendments.
I move the committee amendments.
Second.
Has been probably moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand. All opposed. On the bill as amended. Do I have a motion on the bill as amended?
As a recent high school graduate, I'd like to second this.
Thank you for that second. All those in favor of the amendment on the bill as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Awesome. HB 541 passes, and I'm going to move a little bit faster. We have in front of us House Bill 1399. This is a local delegation bill. It increases for Anne Arundel County, and increases the member of the board's compensation from the president from $10,000 to $20,000, for the vice president from $9,000 to $19,000, and from all the other members from $8,000 to $18,000. So a $10,000 increase essentially. We did receive a letter of support for this bill. Alistair, are there amendments that I'm missing?
There are no amendments for this one.
No amendments. Do I hear a motion on this bill? Or any questions?
Favorable.
Second.
You're probably moved and
Favorable.
seconded.
Second.
It's been probably moved and seconded. All those in favor of the bill of HB 1399, say aye. Raise your hand. All those opposed. Perfect. House Bill 1399 passes. Members, we're going to move on to Senate Bill 478. This is the same bill as the one we just had a long discussion about. Alistair, is it in the same posture as the bill that we just passed?
I'm sorry, which bill is this?
Senate Bill 478.
Yes, this bill with the attached amendment would put it in the same posture as the House bill. So the amendment on the Senate bill, the Senate did already remove the members from the CTE committee. From the Governor's Workforce Development Board. The attached amendment would also transfer the committee into an independent unit within the Department of Labor.
Correct. Okay, on the amendment, sorry, motion on the amendment.
Favorable.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment say aye, or raise your hand. All those opposed. On the bill as amended, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
In favor.
It's been probably moved and seconded. All those in favor of Senate Bill 478 say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Awesome. Okay. Senate Bill 478 as amended passes. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on to Senate Bill 510, which is the direct cross-file of the recent, the bill that we just had for the Anne Arundel County Board of Education, increasing the compensation of its Board of Education members. All those in favor of, do I hear a motion on the amendment?
Favorable.
Second.
It's been probably moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. Senate Bill 510 passes. We now have Senate Bill 831 in front of us. This is the same. We have an amendment in front of us to put this bill in the same posture as the bill that we passed out of here. This was Delegate Shanika Henson's bill. This bill would support providing bonuses to education support professionals within the state as defined, and we have an amendment that will put it in the same posture as a Senate bill. We already have this. The funding is already secured within the budget already, but we just want to make sure that we move this bill. Alistair, did I miss anything or get anything wrong?
Oh, that's right, sir.
Cool, perfect.
Move the amendment.
It's been properly moved and I think seconded by Delegate Ivy. All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. On the bill as amended, do I hear a motion?
Was
So moved.
favorable.
It's been
Or
probably moved and seconded by multiple people. All those in favor of the Senate Bill 831 say aye, or raise your hand. All those opposed. Okay, Senate Bill 831 passes. Thank you, everyone.